In this video, we're checking out the Architect of Reality from Frost Giant Electronics. Hey everyone, thank you so much for watching this video. If you're new here, my name's Merrow. Here on this channel, you're gonna find gear demos just like this one and instructional videos aimed to help musicians just like you and I. So if that sounds cool, please subscribe to the channel and check out all the other videos I have here. So like I said in the intro, we're checking out the Architect of Reality from Frost Giant Electronics. The Architect of Reality is the preamp section of a Laney AOR amp. So the classic amps from the 80s. It's condensed down into a single pedal. Right here you can see we have a couple rows of controls. We have some toggle switches, we have 2-foot switches, and all of that gives you the same functionality as the classic amps. So let's go ahead and jump into the controls of the Architect of Reality. I want to go from the bottom to the top. So over here we have our engage foot switch. Pretty simple. When we press it, the pedal's on. We also have this channel foot switch, which lets us select between the normal channel, which is right here, and then if we push it, this light turns green. That means we're in the classic AOR stage. So let's go ahead and jump into the bottom row of controls now, because when we turn the pedal on, we have our preamp gain, which is this control right here, and our master volume. Those are the two controls on the bottom when we're in the normal channel that work. So we have the normal master volume and then the normal preamp gain. You know, the master volume controls how quiet or loud the signal is coming out of the Architect of Reality. And then the preamp gain sets how much breakup or distortion you're introducing into your signal. So if we turn it all the way down, we get a cleaner sound. And then as we increase that preamp gain, we're getting more saturation in this normal channel. And now the preamp gain is maxed on this normal channel. We can also, again, enable that second channel. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go ahead and turn the preamp gain down to about 50%. And I'm going to engage this second channel switch right here. The LED turns green, and now we actually have a different master control or master output volume. So in this mode, in the green mode, the second channel, the master volume now does not work because we are going to the AOR volume. So the AOR volume in the second channel is how we set our output volume. And again, just to demonstrate, the master volume doesn't work in this. So now we have, again, the preamp gain is engaged in this channel, but it cascades into the AOR gain. So what we can do is we can turn the preamp gain down, and it acts just like it did in the first channel. But now what it does is it cascades into this AOR gain, which is our second gain control kind of, so we can get more saturation and more drive out of this AOR channel. And now, even though we have the AOR gain maxed, we can introduce more gain because this preamp gain control is at 50%. So if we turn both the preamp gain and the AOR gain all the way up in the second channel, that's how we get the maximum amount of gain out of the Architect of Reality. So that takes care of the bottom set of controls. That gives you the basic functionality of how the two channels work. And from there, we now have our EQ controls to really sculpt our voicing. Up here at the top left, we have a presence control. And what this does is it increases or reduces the amount of presence, kind of like the sibilance that you hear in the high end. If we start all the way down at minimum, we're gonna get the least amount of presence. And as we increase that presence control, it's going to, of course, increase the amount of presence or like airiness in the top end that we're hearing. And now we're going to move on to the bass, middle, and treble controls. Each of these controls is tied to one of these toggle switches right here. So the treble has a toggle switch, the mid has a toggle switch, and the bass has a toggle switch. And that is because if I turn this off real quick, I'm going to demonstrate it on this amp right here. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to hit a chord and then I'm going to pull out on the bass pot, because what happens in the AOR amps, one feature that they have is they have push-pull pots in the EQ section on the bass, middle, and treble. And once you pull the pot out, it engages kind of like that frequency boosted. So here is our open chord. So what you heard right there is me hit a chord, pull the bass pot out. So when it's out, you hear a more full bass, a bass boost. Right now I have it set back in, so it's not giving a bass boost right now. But on the Architect of Reality, these toggle switches tied to each band of EQ gives you that ability to boost each frequency. So I'm gonna set them all to the right position because that means we're not giving a boost to any of the frequencies. And now I wanna go ahead and go through each of these EQ settings and show you where it sits in the frequency spectrum. So I'm gonna go ahead, kick on to the AOR channel. We're gonna get a bunch of gain here, and we're gonna start with the bass control. So here is about 50% on the bass control. So now what I want to do is I'm going to hit a chord with the bass on, about 60%, and then I'm going to toggle from left to right. Now, when it's in the right position, again, we're not boosting any frequencies. When we turn it over to the left position, that's when we engage that boost. So here's the bass without boosting. And then one thing to note also is that when the boost is engaged, you can still use the EQ control to fine tune the amount of that frequency. I'm gonna go ahead and go back to a little flatter bass response. So we're at 50% without the boost engaged. And now we're gonna go to the mids control. I'm gonna start at minimum and then we're gonna go to max. And then now let's go ahead and kick on that mids boost. So now I'm gonna go ahead and set the mids back to about 50% again and turn off the boost. And then we're gonna go to the treble. I'm gonna start at the minimum, so the least amount of treble. Okay, so now that we have gone over the features and the controls on the pedal, let's go ahead and talk about some different ways to use the Architect of Reality. So what I've set up here is we're using the same Mondata. We're going now into the Elm Effect Skybridge, which is my pedal. Then we're going into the Architect of Reality. Then from there, we're going into the Cab Zeus. So now you're going to be hearing the signal coming out of the XLR of the Cab Zeus. And what I want to demonstrate is that we can use the Architect of Reality, kind of think of that like our amp, you know? So we get a nice like crunch sound. So we're going from our guitar into our amp in this situation. Then we're applying some speaker simulation with the Cab Zeus mono. But now what we can do is we can kind of tailor our sound going into the Architect of Reality as we would an amp. So let's say we want some more drive out of this normal channel. Well, we can use the boost here on the Skybridge to push our signal going harder into that normal channel of the Architect of Reality. So let's go ahead, hear just the Architect of Reality. And now with the boost engaged. So that kind of shows you the normal channel, thinking of it as like we want some more gain out of our amp, in this case, the Architect of Reality. So we use the boost section of, well, any boost pedal really, but right now I have the Skybridge. I just used the boost side. But there's also other things we can do with, you know, boost pedals or drive pedals. A classic one being kind of like running a tube screamer into a higher gain amp to kind of like tighten up the bottom end and make it more precise and less muddy or less full overall, just a tighter response. So for that situation, gonna flip over to the second channel on the Architect of Reality. Our bass is kind of high. We have it boosted as well as the mids. You know, we have a fair amount of treble. I'm gonna turn the presence up a little bit too. And what we have on the Skybridge here, I'm going to use the drive section on the Skybridge, which gives us a really nice like low gain, almost like clean boost. But what I'm using it for is the 2-band EQ, because I'm attenuating low end right here with this control, and then attenuating just some high end. The drive control's set pretty low, so we're getting a really clean sound. Actually, let's go ahead and hear just what this pedal's doing. What's happening is we're giving that like mid-range boost, we're shelving off some low end, we're shelving off some high end, and then boosting the volume overall. So let's hear that in conjunction with the Architect of Reality. So here is just the Architect of Reality on that second AOR channel. So you can hear there's a lot of low end in there, there's a lot of high end. Let's go ahead and hear how it sounds with the Skybridge in the drive mode, boosting it to kind of give that, you know, more mid-range voice. That really tighten up the bottom end, especially for like chugging sections, a lot of palm muting. That's really helpful, and that's a nice feature on the Architect of Reality, that you can run other pedals into the front of it, kind of thinking of the Architect of Reality as an amp. And then from there, you can run it into a cabinet simulator out to the front of house, or like in this situation, we're running it directly into our interface, and then just get a really great sound without having to have like big amps or even an amp at all. So now we have my Squier Jazzmaster here, which is tuned to A standard, which is really low and really full, like full sound. And I thought it might be a good demonstration to kind of use the Skybridge in the same sort of thought as before, where we're tightening up the response, but more so for the fact because this guitar is so, it's tuned so low that it can really benefit from kind of taking away some of the low frequencies and evening out with the higher frequencies. So again, we've got the low end attenuated, the level's up at about 75%. I'm gonna leave the high right around, what, 45%. Here is just the guitar into the Architect of Reality. And then of course, if that's too much low end cut, you can always turn the low end a little bit back up. Now I want to compare the sound of plugging the guitar into the front of this Laney AOR50 with the sound of plugging the guitar into the Architect of Reality and then running the Architect of Reality into the effects return on the Laney AOR. So that bypasses the preamp and just uses the power section. The Laney AOR effects loop has a negative 16 dB pad on the return. It was designed for rack mount effects, and it has a notoriously bad reputation among guitar players. Past Eric did not know this, so this next clip won't be an apples to apples comparison, but rather another example of how you can use the Architect of Reality. I hope you enjoyed this look at the Architect of Reality from Frost Giant Electronics. If you did, please let me know in the comments below what you thought of the pedal, if you would use it and how you would use it. Would you use it as like a dirt pedal at the beginning of your chain, maybe use it like we did in the middle of the video for direct recording solutions? Or would you run it into the effects loop of an amp that you have already? Let me know that in the comments below. If you like this video, of course, please subscribe to the channel. And before I get out of here, I want to send a huge thank you to these folks right over here, who are my executive producers from my Patreon page. I really appreciate all the support. It means the world to me, and it makes running this channel a whole lot easier. I really appreciate it. Thank you so much. Thank you for watching. I hope you're doing well. I hope you're staying safe. Again, if you did like this pedal, please let me know in the comments below. I'll talk to you in the next one.